back with another episode of Let's Talk Real. I'm your host, Ismaini, with Next Home Dream Seekers Realty, and here's Carlos with My City Lending. How are you, Carlos?
Hey, Nini, good, and you?
Good. Back for one more episode here to highlight people in the real estate world. And today we will be talking about the top 10 key differences between buying and renting a home, which I hope is hopefully is going to help people understand maybe where they are, what's the best option, what are the pros and cons for each, perspective of the top 10 keys there. So we're going to get diving deep there so you really understand what's the best option for you. Before we even get into anything today, we do have a very special event coming up that I want to highlight here. And here it is our fundraiser event. We're actually doing a very special Father's Day bingo bash, which is going to be done during our national fundraising day, which is Luke's birthday, our mascot. And this year we decided to support the Central Pennsylvania Food Bank. And we're doing a big bingo. We're going to have live music going by the Clockwork Band. If you don't know who they are amazing with a very good singer. They actually local out of New Cumberland. And they were super kind and willing to play for us during bingo. So we're literally going to be doing live music up until the end of the 10 games. And then we're going to have a little dance party at the end. So very fun day for you to come and, spend time with family and maybe celebrate your Father's Day with us. So if you want to sign up, we have the QR code here. And guess what? Carlos is going to be there, right, Carlos?
Yes, I will be there.
Going to be spending some fun time with us. He's going to have a little special section so you guys can stop by, maybe chat with him if you're even thinking about getting started. You can come in a little bit earlier and even stay a little bit later to talk to him. So he's going to have his own little station. So I'm very excited about this. I'm super pumped. So make sure you scan the QR code, get your tickets. We made it super affordable. And again, all funds will be donated to the Central PA Food Bank, which is really an amazing cause here local to Harrisburg area. And we're going to be meeting at the Elizabeth, which is a historic theater building in Elizabethtown. Very gorgeous place too. So it will be a very nice venue for all of us to get together. That's it for our event. Yay. I'm super excited about that. Can't wait.
Yeah,
That's coming.
It should be fun.
It should be awesome. Yeah. Alrighty. So myth of the day, of course, related to today's topic. And I think we're going to really explain this one much deeper. But this one gets tossed around a lot. Oops, that's the title. That's the myth. Renting is just throwing money away. And I think you and I have said that probably multiple times. And yes, it is very accurate, but it's not always true. And I think that's why we're going to go over the top 10 keys and why that maybe is not true for some people in some specific situations. I don't think it's just overall throwing money away every time. But yes,
not black or white. There's some gray. There is some gray.
Some gray in there. We would still think overall, buying a home is building wealth for the long term. But renting gives you that little bit of flexibility and less commitment, right? I would say. So we're going to dive deep into this one and explain it further. So the number one key difference is building equity versus paying rent, right? Do you want to open this one up a little further for us?
Sure, absolutely. So let's say you've been living in your apartment for 5 years now, and you've been paying rent this whole time. And you say, okay, I'm going to move somewhere else. Well, your landlord's going to say, thank you. Have a good one. Whereas if you bought a house, 5 years later, you could be sitting on a nice piggy bank that you can crack open and, use some of it to put down, and the rest you can save it, for, rainy day renovations, whatever it is. But at the end of the day is you've been paying that money. You've been investing that money in yourself versus just
as a
throwing it
living
away, in my opinion. But hey, not to everybody.
I mean, renting is seen as a living expense, right? It's just an expense. But instead
Exactly.
that's an expense. When you buy a home, now you're actually building wealth. Yes, you're paying maybe the same thing you'd be paying as a rental, but you're not just paying an expense, you're building wealth. And I think that's the biggest difference between, paying rent and then actually buying a house and building equity. Um,
Yeah, and I would say, like, I was just talking to somebody yesterday, one of our mutual clients, and she's like, "Oh, I want this house, but it's like 250, and I only make like 40 grand a year." I'm like, "Well, you're probably not getting that house yet, but
yes.
instead of paying rent, let's just get you into a 2 unit right now, create some cash flow that will help you offset that mortgage payment. And hey, look at it as if you're paying rent because you're living in an apartment, but you're paying rent to yourself,
Yeah,
you know?" And then she
exactly.
was like, "Oh, you know what? I didn't think about it, And I'm like, "Yeah, like don't look at it as, I'm not
Like
getting
a
the
whole purchase.
my dream home." Forget the dream home. Get a home. You need a roof over your head. Get it so that
Yes.
it's yours and start your portfolio with just that.
I think the biggest misconception of people that have not yet started, buying a home ever is that, oh, it has to be this big thing where I buy
Yeah.
one time and that's it, I'm in it forever. And that's not true. Literally, I believe the percentage is like 93% of people that buy a home sell and buy another home at some point in their
Yep.
lifetime. So if
Absolutely.
you're buying the first one, you're definitely gonna be buying a second. You may not be buying a third, but you're definitely gonna be buying a second. So just keep that in mind. Building equities is still key. I think we separated some like specific pros and cons for each. So in this one, I would say buying the pro, you're paying yourself. You're not a
Yep.
landlord. You're your own landlord, right?
You're
You're
your own
building.
landlord. Exactly.
So the con is that it does take time to build that equity and finish paying that mortgage. But again, there's ways to go about it, that we can talk to you about how to pay that mortgage off much sooner. That doesn't necessarily means breaking the bank or paying a big lump sum of money. So just talk to us so we can explain that in further detail.
Yeah, but look, for example, like let's say my mom, I'll give you a perfect example. My mom. My
Yeah,
mom, I talked to her about buying a house years ago. My mom has been living in the same apartments for 30 years now.
seriously.
Yeah, like in
Oh
the
my
same
goodness.
complex, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
30 years now. Like that mortgage would have been paid off completely.
Yes. Oh my goodness. It's
And
just
now
the
she's like, "Oh,
fear.
I'm thinking about it now, because there's some issues and yada yada." And I'm like,
Could have had so much equity built up, right? But as
even
the
10 years
fear to
ago when
move
I told her
forward,
about it again, like she would have
yeah,
had a ton of equity built up.
it's the fear of the unknown. I think that's a big stopping stone for most buyers is just not knowing what to expect, how it works. They think about the big number instead of the big picture, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest problem on this one. But yeah. Um, so I think that's number one for us. Let's go for number two. Monthly cost stability. That's a big one, especially nowadays in the market with the fluctuation of rentals kind of skyrocketing. Not knowing what next year holds for that property that you're renting. For the last 3 years, and every
Yeah.
year the landlord decides to jump up another $100 or $150. Can you still afford that? That unpredictability is pretty scary when it comes to renting versus buying. Because buying, you're gonna have a fixed payment for the most part, because of course taxes still go up every year, but the difference on that's much less than with the real estate, the rental market as a whole.
Well, and that's the other thing. I'm gonna use my mom again as an example.
Yeah, yeah, that's good.
They, like the complex or whatever got under new management, right? And before they weren't charging like for gas and like electricity, and now they're just like, "Oh, we're gonna average whatever the bill is for that building, and we're gonna divide it by however many tenants we have, and that's how much you guys are paying." So they're not really putting a counter on you, but they're gonna
Mm,
start charging you. And they didn't even give her like a fair warning, like, "Hey, your bill is going up $300 this month." It's just like, boom, auto draw,
damn, that's
you
rough.
know.
Yeah, that is rough.
So like it's a lot of things that you don't deal with, when you own a home, your expenses, they're not moving.
No.
When you rent, rent's subject to go up every year a certain amount. So
Yeah. Yeah. So I think the pro of the renting side would be like you can just walk away if it's too high and find another one. It's easier to
yeah.
just walk away. That's the only pro I can think of. But then at the same time, can you find something that's better, right? How quickly can you find it? Then you have to put a deposit and get into that property that you're waiting on. Then you have a waiting list to may or may not get it. So there's some unpredictability on that too.
But then on the same token, like let's say like you have a 3-bedroom house, right? And then your kids are older, they moved out. You can always downsize, rent that out. You have a lower interest rate because you've been there forever.
Very
You
true.
know, your monthly payment isn't moving, but rent keeps growing in that area. I mean, that's a great
Yeah.
investment opportunity if you ask me.
For sure. For sure. And with rental, forget about it. That's not even an option whatsoever.
I don't think you're gonna convince me. It's not throwing money away, Nini, but let's keep going. And if
I
you like it so far, like,
I think so
follow,
far
and
buying a house is
share.
still hands down the better option. Yeah. Maybe that myth is a little bit true. But
Absolutely,
we'll get
absolutely.
to why it isn't fully true, but I think we're not quite there yet.
All
We're
right,
coming
let's
up,
see. Let's see if
coming
you
up.
get there.
Oh, let's see if we can get there. Alrighty. Key number 3, maintenance responsibility. This might be one that might be part of that myth being potentially true, I guess. If you are a
Okay.
homeowner, you are it, tag, you have to take care of it. It's going to be
Tag.
your expense. So if you're renting, just call the landlord, say, hey, something is broken, fix it. So I guess in that
Uh,
sense,
I would say yes and no
will they
because,
fix
like,
it? That's another question.
I would say yes and no because if you're renting, like landlords will put in their leases, like anything up to this expense, it's up to you to fix it.
Oh, yeah, depending on the lease agreement then. So I guess that
Yeah,
varies too.
yeah.
Yeah. So it
Uh,
depends on your terms.
Still not sold.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. So watch out for your lease agreement. That's the key word here. Like make sure
Absolutely.
this doesn't say anything about that. But yes, that's true. So I guess the myth still stands for now.
Still stands.
Number 4, upfront costs.
Uh,
I think that's actually pretty accurate as far as not being a myth, not being a myth. Because we know, you and I, that you can buy a house for very, very little money out of pocket. And we have both had clients that bought a house with less than actually a rent was
That's what I'm saying. Like you can buy a house for less than the 2 months of deposits you have to put in when you're
on a
renting.
property. Yes.
So
And we
it
have
still
done it
stands.
multiple
Holding
times.
strong. Holding strong.
But for the sake of this, right? So overall, yes, if you're buying a house, if you're not qualifying for special grants, if you're not going for a loan amount, a loan type that requires a lower down payment, your closed upfront costs would definitely be higher than renting a property overall.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Overall. But if you have Carlos and I working for you, we can definitely get you as down as possible and as close as possible to the same cost of renting.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
just work with the right professionals.
That's right. That's right. And before we go to number 5, if you like it so far, like, share, and follow for more.
Yes, Carlos, good job. We always forget to ask. So good job. But yes, if you're liking this, please subscribe, like, share. We want as many people as possible learning all about real estate and really being educated so they can do the right choices moving forward. Because that's really what this is all about. Alrighty, number 5. Mobility and flexibility. I think this is the only thing,
All
and you
right.
can agree with me,
Let's
that could
hear your argument. All right. Let's hear it.
turn this myth into a false myth, or into a real myth, I should say. If you are renting and you are in a situation where you don't know the area, you're just moving to the area, you're not ready to settle down, your job has a lot of flexibility where you have to travel, or you're not really sure if you're going to be in that area for a long period of time, you don't have any family friends nearby, it's not an area that you even like, I don't know, whatever be the situation, renting gives you the flexibility of not being tied down to a location to an extent. It's a short-term flexibility. When you buy a house, you're
I
more
would
tied
have to agree to disagree with you on that one.
down. I love it. I love it.
I'm
Go
going to
for it.
agree to disagree with you on that one, and let me tell you why.
Hmm.
Because if you rent and you're only going to live there for 1 year, because eventually you'll move somewhere else, and your first-time home buyer get an FHA 4 unit, live in it for 1 year, you're going to live there regardless, and
Yes.
now take that extra income and go buy in the area that you want to move to.
Carlos, I agree with you, but I gotta be on the opposite side. No, Carlos, this is about flexibility. It's not about building wealth here, mister. So yeah, I think our myth is still a myth, but when everybody looks at me and say, I haven't bought a house yet because I'm not sure I want to buy a house in this area. Okay, I give you that. But if you were really thinking about building wealth, buy a house. You don't want to be there, rent it or sell it. You
That's
know,
it.
buy the next house. People again make such buying a house such a big, big. It is a big deal. Don't get me wrong. It is a very big deal. But it doesn't have to be the one and only for all time.
Exactly.
It's an investment. You got to really start shifting mindsets to look at it as an investment, and it will pay off. Like it costs you to buy, but if you keep it and you move on, now you have a rental property that is going to be paying
That's why I'm
itself.
saying mobility and flexibility.
I guess we're gonna keep trying to find whether this myth is true or not. See, number 6,
You're coming close
customization
to the
and
end.
control. So I think this is the key difference, right? Customization and control. You have
Yes.
no control nor rights to customize much of anything in a rental. So I think this one favors definitely the fact that the myth is a myth, because buying a house really gives you full control, full authority. You do what you want and what you please with your budget for that home.
Yeah. So I would say you
Still a myth.
still.
I don't even know what the pros and cons for this one is. Let me check. So buying, you can paint it pink, knock down walls, and add a hot tub. Nobody's gonna ask your question. You can move
That's right.
with freedom. Con, you can pay for upgrades, but not your landlord, right? So you have to do it yourself. That's
right.
Renting, you have limited ability to personalize for sure, if any, right?
If any, yeah. Because some
So the
landlords,
only-
I'll give you this on the renting side. Some landlords will allow you to, paint it whatever color you want, as long as when you're moving out, you paint it back.
Yes. Yeah.
So you do have some customization, but that only works depending on the landlord. If you're renting from like a complex or something,
Oh yeah,
there is
you're
no
not
changing
changing
colors.
anything.
Yeah,
And
no nails on the walls, none of that.
nothing. Some of them are very strict. You're right, super strict. And I think the only pro I can think of on the renting side is really the peace of mind that if something needs done, like it needs a new roof and is expensive, you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
Right. So I guess that's it. It's really the only pro.
I don't know, because if you have a home warranty,
yeah, you have a home warranty. Yeah. Anyway, myth continues. Let's go. Okay, key difference number 7, tax benefits. Oh my gosh, this is not helping the myth at all. I'll let you take this one away. Go for it.
yeah, no, absolutely not, because you can deduct your taxes and your insurance on your taxes and your interest that you're paying on your mortgage also, where even though you're paying 100% interest on your rent, you can't deduct your rent.
No, you cannot. You cannot do anything. You have no tax benefits whatsoever. Unless you are renting as far as being a landlord with multiple properties, then there's more tax benefits. So yeah, myth continues. If you own a home, I mean, literally, you can deduct everything. When you buy the house, especially that year that you bought, you pay a lot of taxes and fees. So that's
Yeah.
all
Oh, and you can write off your closing costs also. Remember on your
Yeah.
taxes,
your closing costs
which
is all deducted.
you cannot write off when you're renting because you don't have any closing costs.
Okay, I guess the myth continues. This is not supporting the myth. Number 8, long-term wealth building. Oh my goodness. Who created these key differences?
I don't know. They were clearly right when they did it.
They were definitely totally right. Wow. So yeah. So I mean, needless to say, we keep talking about investing. We keep talking about building wealth. You cannot do that renting, right? You're
No.
gonna pay someone else's mortgage. You're going to pay 100% interest because nothing is yours. When you're buying a house, you're planning for the future. It's a long-term investment. You're going to be building equity over time, and you can buy multiple properties. You can have them pay themselves through the rental. I mean, the possibilities are endless. You can start like Carlos, I was saying,
Literally.
multifamilies, netting zero, basically, even like no payment. If you have a
Yep.
3-unit property, you could be living completely mortgage free, and have that property paid off maybe in 5 years at best, So I would say definitely does not support a myth. But it's a really good one to talk about because that's the main key for buying any sort of real estate, being your first home, second home, vacation home, is the long-term wealth that you're going to be building and passing on to your family, down to your
Absolutely.
children, and therefore to the future generations.
I have one of my investors. He purchased this home, I don't know, maybe like 15 or 20 years ago. I think he still owes maybe like $80,000 on it. And it's worth like 300,000. So now he's gonna pull equity from that house because he moved somewhere else. So now it's an investment. So now he's gonna pull equity from that house and he's gonna start flipping.
Wow.
So
That's the best part of it.
can't do that when you rent.
You cannot do that. Okay. All right, you should have picked a different myth. But I guess this kind of helps people have some clarity.
Absolutely.
Trying to say wink, wink.
Yeah. If we're not making it clear here, I don't know what will.
I don't know what to tell you guys. Alrighty, key difference number 9: emotional investment and lifestyle, not versus, and lifestyle. Yeah, so this one is, there's some emotional because when you buy a house, you're gonna be building your home because you're personalizing it, you're upgrading with your own tastes, and I think that builds that home feeling, that you might not be able to ever get on a rental property that you're renting from someone else, especially if it's super strict as far as like hanging a photo on the wall or changing the color, because you're gonna have to stick to whatever color is on the wall there.
Yep.
So you don't get to build that sense of belonging to your property, and I think that's the very big difference between renting and buying. What is the other things from renting?
I mean, renting is not really an emotional investment because you're not really investing in it.
Yeah,
You're
that's true.
throwing
It's not
money away.
emotional. I think that's the biggest difference. It's just not emotional.
Exactly.
And that's why people think of buying a home as such a big stepping stone, because it is. It's a pretty big investment. It shouldn't be a stepping stone. It should be a moving forward, right thing. People get like analysis paralysis when it comes to buying a house, and should be that way, but it's definitely super emotional.
Yes.
Building a home, instead of paying for a living expense. And then lifestyle, I think that plays into it too, from both sides, I would say. Because if you are someone, again, going maybe favoring the myth a little bit, that just not ready to settle down, travel a lot, want to move to different places every other month or whatever, then yes, you're going to have different lifestyle that maybe having one home in one place might not fit you. But again, you could also keep it as a rental.
That's all I'm saying.
Final point. But yeah, so that's I think the biggest key differences when it comes to emotional and lifestyle between buying and renting. And our number 10 key difference. It's the market risk. Now, this one, this is not part of the myth, supports the myth whatsoever. I feel like people needs to get over. The market is never going to be perfect. No matter what year, what's happening with the industry, it's never going to be, oh, today is the perfect day to buy a house. Because even when was maybe 5 years ago, the perfect time frame, technically number-wise, because the interest rates were low and everything, people are saying like, oh, this is not the right time because the market is unstable, COVID's happening, there's too many buyers. So again, it was great numbers-wise because the interest rates were low, but the market itself was not great. So it wasn't a great market to buy.
No.
But now we're like, okay, now we don't have as many buyers, but now the interest rates are higher. And people are like, it's not the perfect market to buy. Oh, we're uncertain what's going to happen in the future. We are always uncertain. There is no crystal ball that's ever going to tell us what's going to happen. So
exactly. Yeah, I would say now is the time to buy. If you haven't bought, now is the time to buy, because when the market is up, you know, rates are down, you can always refinance. And when the market is down, you know,
don't
rates
sell.
rates are gonna go up. You know what I mean? And then the other thing is that lost my train of thought.
It's about the price. Because I think people are afraid. It's like, what if the market crashes and the prices of these houses go down? I'm like, if you already
No,
own
what
a
I was
home-
gonna say is that when the market is down, because the economy isn't doing good or whatever people fear, you know what I mean? Well,
yeah,
then now rents are gonna go up because
Yeah.
more people are looking to rent because they're not, you know, if they lose
buying.
their homes or whatever. Now they need somewhere to sleep. They're not just gonna sleep on the street, you know.
Everybody
So
needs
then
a
rents are
home.
gonna go up. And if you're a landlord,
You're making money.
oh yeah,
Yes, and on the flip side, if you already own a home, because if people fear buying a house, because what if the market crashes like it happened in 2008 where the prices just dropped? Well, just don't sell your house. Your monthly
Keep it.
payments are not going to change.
Yeah.
You're not going to change unless, I mean, God forbid you lose your job, but then there's other things that you can put in place to protect you, right? But nothing's going to change with your house other than the value on the market. But if you're not on the market to sell, which I wouldn't recommend if that's the case, nothing happens. So just hold on to your real estate, which you should anyway. I would say 9 times out of 10 it's better to keep the real estate, and then if you move to a different place, keep it as a rental to build your investment portfolio. So just don't sell. And then when the market goes up and you want to sell.
Get out.
Yeah. So honestly, the market risk when it comes to real estate, at least buying and moving in and renting, it's fairly low, you know, very low. It's like, it's not like going on a stock market and hoping, you know, the stocks don't drop so you don't lose thousands and thousands of dollars or whatever be. Like, that's not what it is. You bought it for a price. Maybe the value could go down if something happens, but you just don't sell because the value is still there.
You just hold it.
Hold it. It's kind of like a stock, just hold it, right? Like, but it's not as variable at all. Like,
it's not as volatile.
Not volatile. Yeah. So it's stick to it. There's not much risk on buying a real estate property whatsoever. So get over the fear of getting out there and getting your first home, because it's very doable. It does not have to cost that much, especially, honestly, we can make it happen with the 2 first months that you have to put it in a rental. It is doable, trust me. As soon as everything falls in place, and we can check on that for you.
Actually, we just got a contract today, me and you, where the guy's coming to closing with $1,000 out of pocket.
Yes, we're not going to disclose names, but yeah, I'm super excited.
We're not.
Yeah.
We're not.
So he qualified for the grant. He qualified for a special low 3% conventional loan, and we still got seller's assistance, 3%.
Yeah.
So he's coming in with very, 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 like, you cannot even get a rental for $1,000. Come on.
No.
And he's buying a whole house, and he's ecstatic. So yes.
With a garage. I think it has a garage, right?
Yes, he has a garage. He wasn't even trying to go for a garage, and we're like, so I'm going to tell the story since we're here. But this was the most random. We scheduled to see one house in the city, and then we got there. The photos were gorgeous because the house was gorgeously renovated, but it was some sort of investor didn't think this through because there was no outlets at all in any bedroom, no outlets in the bathroom. There was no light switches. There was no light because there was no outlets in the bedrooms. Not even a single one. So I'm like, how are you functioning in this house? There's no electricity available. It's candlelight house. Like we call it the candlelight house. Like, there's no outlets. Nowhere. I'm not even kidding you. So I don't know if they just put the drywall up and forgot to set up the outlets. I'm not even kidding. No bathroom, no bedrooms, no light.
This is not the one he's buying, right?
No.
Okay.
Went to this house. Yeah, that one.
I was gonna cancel that contract.
So we were very disappointed. We're like, oh shoot. And that's the only one we had a schedule to see. And it was already a late, showing at 6 p.m. So they're like, oh, I wish there was something else around this area, because then we could just see it and maybe we really like this area. I'm like, oh, let me look. So I went on my handy dandy app to, and I'm looking at it. I'm like, look, there's one that's active and he's in your price range and he actually has a garage. And he's like, really? And I'm like, yes. I'm like, can we see it? And it happened to be one of those vacant houses that you can schedule and go. I'm like, let's go. And it was 2 minutes from the one house that we saw. So same location. And we got there. They fell in love with it. The house was perfect. And they didn't even see it online. And the backyard looked like a paradise from Puerto Rico because the foliage was like so pretty. So the wife fell in love with it. And I'm like, this is how funny. We were not even aware of that house.
That's crazy.
And then we put an offer this morning and he got accepted as we were recording. And here it goes. Like, that's crazy. That is crazy. 3% seller's assistance, home inspection at asking price. I mean, paying out $1,000 out of pocket. Can't ask for anything better.
Doesn't get any better than that.
So that's a good one to end. I think that's a good story to end this episode. So just know it's very doable and it can happen, and it can happen to you too. So please contact us if you want to get started. Carlos can definitely help you get your approval ready to go. And if not right now, he can at least help you get started to prep very soon. As Carlos mentioned halfway through, please like, share, subscribe if you want to see more of this content online. We are very happy to share and educate you guys all about everything real estate. So thank you so much. And I'll see you guys next time.
Till the next one.